much. Good morning, everybody. As everyone files in, I want to ask you a question here. How many have been on vacation this year? Raise your hand. How many have been on vacation? How many of you have what you would call a most memorable vacation moment? You know what I'm saying? Like something goes right, something goes wrong. I want to open up my session here with sharing a little vacation story with you. So this year, the first week in March, I had the opportunity to go to Beaver Creek, Colorado. Anybody been to Beaver Creek? You know what I'm talking about out there? I'm a skier. I like to ski. Been skiing for almost 25 years. And this specific year, I decided to take the whole family up to Beaver Creek. So skied hard for 4 days. Great time. I took my family up there. And on the fourth day, my wife said to me, would you mind, after we're done skiing, would you mind doing some snowshoeing? Because one of my sons was married, his wife was pregnant, and she couldn't ski, but she could snowshoe. How many of you in this room have ever snowshoed? Can I see a raise of hand? Oh my goodness, that is impressive. I want to share with you my snowshoeing experience at Beaver Creek. So here it is. You can see this beautiful mountain. This is actually Beaver Creek up here. And we had the opportunity to kind of, the way that this thing works is they get about 30 of us at the base of the hill, and we strap on these shoes. You sign the documents that if anything happens to you, you can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And so we strap them all on, and I've never snowshoed in my life before, skied a lot, never snowshoed before, but I'm going, seriously, how hard can this be? How hard can this be? And so we're there. I've got all my, not all my kids, but some of my sons and my daughters, and when we're getting ready to go, and up we go. We go up this mountain all the way to the very top, and it's a nice, easy grade going up. It's not a big deal, and we'd stop, and the guide would talk about the birch trees along the way. Look how the bears chew. I mean, this is really cool. I mean, how hard is this? So we get to the top, and now it's time to come back. All right, it's time to come back. And so our guide, we have a guide who's leading us there, says it's time for the descent. And I'm going, okay, well, imagine we just turn around and go back down the same way that we came. Nope, that's not how it works. So he takes us to this trail where we're looking down over this hill, which was a lot different than the one we went up. And so this is what he starts giving us a few instructions. He goes, now I want you to watch out for the double fall line and the terrain traps. A double fall line? I think I know what a fall line is. I don't know if I've heard of a double fall line. And I've heard of tree wells, but never a terrain trap. And so I'm looking down, and it's steep. And then he goes, and there's a thin layer of crust covering the snow, so don't worry about that. I'm going, oh my goodness, why don't we just turn around and take the easy way back? So then he gets into some of the technical discussions about what we do. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to use your shoe decking and the crampons to get yourself down. I'm going, did he say croutons? What is a cramp? I'm looking, I got these big things on my feet, and the shoe decking. What is a shoe decking? And then he goes, and make sure on the way down that you watch the pivot point. Pivot points are critical in getting down. Pivot point? I played bad. I know how to pivot. What is a pivot point? This was such an easy thing to get up the hill. And then he goes down about 10 feet, turns around and looks at us, and he goes, shoe good or eat wood. And I'm going, okay, this is fine. And so there's all these trees down there and all the things. And you want to know how this thing ended? You can take a guess, can't you? Well, here it is, right here. Let me just hear, this is it right here. Yep, that's old me in row 22, D, E, and F. Because being 6'4", you don't even ever fit into a regular airplane seat, let alone if your left leg has to be mobilized in a straight position, right? So I had to buy row 22 on the way home. I did. I bought row 22, and that is how I actually got back to Chicago from Eagle Vale. And I found out when I got there, my ortho guy says, did you fly home? I go, yeah. Oh, you're lucky you're not dead. I go, oh, okay, because of blood clots. All right, so if this ever happens to you, do not do what I did here. This is a little safety. Here's what happened. I start down the backside of this hill with all these, and I had no idea what this guy was talking to me about. And I started to lose my balance after the third step. There were two folks in front of me, and they were just shaking. I'm going, I got 20 people behind me, and I'm just prideful. I'm not going to say I can't do this. I get down there, I start shaking, and I said, I got to get my balance, and I see the snow patch over here to the left. I said, I got to get stable. So I take my left leg, I lift it up, I come over here, and I step on that white little snow patch to get stable. Make sense to you? Snowshoe, snow, put your leg down there. What I didn't know that it was a 3-foot snow hole. And my leg went 3 feet into the snow hole on an incline like this, and I fell forward, and I basically snapped the quad tendon. Quad tendon's a little FYI, maybe a little too much information, but I got to share it because it happened. It's what does it. If you lose your quad tendon, you can't do this. You can't do any of this. But there's a reason why I tell this story to start us off with here this morning. It's very simply, is that guide. How about his instructions, huh? He wanted to talk to me in what I call outdoorsy language. And the one thing that I learned one more time, is this, is that words matter. That the words we use with people really do make a difference. And if you take anything away from this whole talk that I'm going to give to you this morning, it's this. And you've heard me before if you saw me a couple years ago. It's not what you say that matters, but what really matters is what are our people hearing when we are speaking to them in the language that we are so very, very comfortable with. And that is the essence of my message here today. That is what we're here to talk about today. So when you think about this whole industry of what you're in and your challenge of communicating, engaging participants in these areas, look at some of the phrases we have to deal with. Target date funds. How do you think target date works with people? We'll see that in just a few minutes. Financial wellness, auto escalation, not an auto escalator, this auto escalation glide path. We'll have some fun with the word glide path here today. Best in class, rebalancing. You know, it's not what you say that matters, but what really matters is what are people hearing. And so I want to show you, just to get us going here this morning, how we got this research, because this is a research-based presentation. And what we've been doing for the last 11 years with this group called Maslansky and Partners is studying the impact that words have on a person emotionally. It's how they feel about the words that we are using. That's what I care about. How are they feeling? Are they feeling good? Are they feeling bad about that? And I want to show you a quick video, and you're going to hear from Michael Maslansky. He is the president. We've worked with him for almost 11 years now, doing financial language studies. And I want you to pay attention to the way in which we get this research. You're going to actually see in this video one of the actual focus groups that we did for the research that I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes.
It's not what you say that matters, it's what your audience hears. When we hear a message, we react first in our gut and then in our head. It's emotional. It's not rational. At Maslansky and Partners, we specialize in language strategy. We look at a lot of situations where a company is facing something that's either controversial, or they have a product that's complex, or they're in a market that's extremely crowded, or they don't really know how to connect with their customer. And in each of those cases, they find it hard to choose the right language to be effective. And what we try and help them do is understand what are the barriers to communication? Why is it that their audience isn't getting the message, and what can they do about it to be more effective? This research that we're doing is part of what's become the largest study of financial services, language and communication ever conducted. When you think about kind of preparing for your financial future, tonight we're looking at a very real challenge that companies face in trying to provide a 401k benefit for their employees. Across the country, people participate less than they should and they contribute less than they should. We're gonna find some specific language about how do you take a product like a target date fund and make it really attractive to people. Who would say it's a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing? How can we look at the audience, look at their perspective, and then build language for them so that they can understand it, so that they're likely to believe it, And so that they find that message attractive, very often the answer comes down to understanding how the human brain processes information. In instant response, we can present a whole series of different messages, of different ways of articulating that message, and get that emotional reaction in the instant. And then we can conduct a probing conversation with them and understand the why behind the what. Okay, who thought that was the best one? Okay, tell me why. What was it in there that made that the most effective? A dial is a way of registering moment-by-moment reactions to an individual message. It is a very simple tool that lets you go from 0 to 100 and continuously react as you're listening to a message without thinking about it, so that we can get your visceral response to each word and phrase. We really understand the way that human beings interact in a communication context. We can help build communication strategies that are gonna get through, they're gonna be understood, and they're gonna be believed for our clients.
So let's take a look at the methodology and how does this work. For every one of the studies that we do here, it's a 3-step process. The first thing we do is we do in-depth interviews with our audience to make sure that the language that we're testing, the approaches that we're testing, are the ones that are actually being used with participants. Then from there, we go to our dial sessions. And the dial session is what Michael just talked about right here. We do 3 of them. And this is kind of how it works a little bit more in depth. Everybody's got a dial here. Everybody's got a dial in my room. And if you like what I'm saying, you're going to dial me up towards 100. If you don't like what I'm saying, you're going to dial me back down. And back and forth it's going. And so in the back room, we're getting the instantaneous, anonymous, and simultaneous response of all 600 of you in this room at the same time. And so what we are doing is we're in the back, okay? So we show that what we do, we have our focus groups are about 30, 35 people. They're 3 to 3.5 hours long, every one of them. We are in the back watching the same video that our audience is watching, but we're watching a calibrated screen here. I'm going to show you several videos throughout my presentation here. 50 is at neutral. 50 means that they don't feel anything. They're just neutral towards you. I can't make a judgment. I don't feel good. I don't feel bad. But as the time goes on here, I'll give you an idea here. You see here, 50's at neutral. We're not doing anything. Oh my goodness, they are loving our message right here. We're in great, oh, what happened there? Something happened. And down it goes. And then we have the opportunity to go out into the audience on a qualitative standpoint and ask them, well, why did you respond that way? What didn't you like, or what did you like? So we have some quantitative as well as the qualitative as well. Then the last thing that we do is we do a national survey of around 800 individuals to make sure that some of the findings, what we saw in the dials, are accurate in what we see in the survey information coming back. And it's resulted in, as Michael mentioned earlier, the largest study ever done on financial language. You see, we care how people feel about the language that we are using with them. So when you think about the dimensions of a successful plan, we all know this: plan design, of course, governance, investment strategy. The last component here we put down is participant engagement, which is what we're here to talk about today. And what we kind of really specialize or have been studying for years in this space is just the language. That's it. The language that we are currently using in our plans to see how do people feel about the language that we are using. So what do? We got a diverse group of participants here. Our study included 800 participants, large plans, 5,000 employees or more, public, corporate, union, a solid mixture of all of those. What we'd like to think is we've done the best we can to really survey participants just like yours, just like yours. All right, and so what I want to share with you today in the time that I have left here, 4 communication principles, all right? As you think about being an engager of participants, I want us to think about all the things that we do in terms of material and websites and messaging and just the communication. And let's kind of measure up and see, how do I do relative to these 4 communication principles, all right? So, but before we start, but by the way, I have a quick question. How many of you saw us do a presentation like this in Denver? Was anybody in Denver there? So you're gonna see, normally I get 2 slots. I get the coffee slot, which is the opening, or I get the food coma slot, which is about the 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This happens to be the coffee slot. And so what I'm gonna do here in just a minute, and I'm gonna ask you to do this, is I'm gonna get some decks to you here, and I'll show you how you get those. You're gonna get a packet, okay, of cards here. There's 9 cards in here, and you're gonna have a front or a back of each one of these cards, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to look at these cards, front versus back, for all 9 different cards, and choose which phrase you think that clients like best. So at the very end of your, some of you at the very end of your table there, you got a stack of them, pass them down if you would, okay? Pass them down your row, pass them down your row. And in the very back, if you're sitting in a chair, they're underneath their chairs, okay? So I'll give you a few minutes to scrimmage about, and if we need any more, raise your hands, and I've got a team of people who can maybe get you an extra card. I think we should have one for everybody here. I will say this as a preface, the hardest thing about this exercise is getting the cards open, all right? So don't feel bad. Get a pen and just slash it if you have to. Please just get the cards open. Put them on the desk in front of you. You should have 9 winning phrases in front of you here. Get the winning phrase face up. And I must say, when I was in Denver doing this 2 years ago, I had the highest percentage of people that got everything all right. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I've been doing this type of presentation for many years, so I was really impressed with the group. But a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. Let's see if we can get them all, who's going to get them all right this time, all right? 9 winning phrases should be face up in front of you. Put them right down there. And this is not what you think, but what you think participants thought, okay? You may have your own thoughts. Remember, it's not what you say, but it's what do people hear when we are speaking. I like to just get a little preview to see. Yeah, I know. I'll give you the full benefit of the doubt here. And by the way, no looking at your neighbor either, okay? I'm just going to have to trust everybody here. Okay, all right, very good. 9 different phrases. Face up, 9 winning phrases. Front versus back. Give it your best shot. All right, give you just about another 20 seconds. Look at them one more time. Make sure you're confident of your responses here as we move into this. Front versus back, low cost, cost efficient. Which is it? Financial freedom, financial security, comfortable retirement, dream retirement. Which is it that they like best? All right, I think we're about 90% of the way there, so I want to get started. So I want to show you a video here, okay? We tested some of the conventional language that's being used in the marketplace, all right? And so I'm going to show you our first dial here. And just to give you some perspective, as you see our line here, that means everybody set their dials to 50. Anytime you get into the 60s, at 60, they're at the like, oh, I'm loving. Anything above 50 is good. But 60 is, I just love your message. Anything below 50 is obviously negative. If it gets into the 30s, they're actually angry. It's really interesting. I mean, they get really mad. It's funny to watch. So I want you to watch this video, and I want you to look and listen to the language we use to see what type of response we get from this message. Here we go on defined contribution plans.
As an employee of our company, one important benefit that is available to you is something called a defined contribution plan. The defined contribution fund investment options are intended to be primary retirement savings vehicles for members, another name for the employees who enroll in the plan. Members have investment discretion over their accounts by selecting among an array of investment options designed for retirement savings. Members choose from the following 3 kinds of funds: stock index funds, target date funds, or self-managed funds. The plan seeks to achieve a range of long-term objectives. At its most basic level, it aims to offer a diversified mix of investment options that span the risk-return spectrum and give members the opportunity to diversify their accounts.
How'd we do? Why? Why? It's the traditional language that we use, right? Some of the traditional language that we use, you may have said it differently, I understand that. So 50 is we've done absolutely nothing, and we kind of get the deserved response, from our audience in this case, is this is kind of what we do. This is what we do to those kind of audiences. So I want to show you another video here, and to see that if we focus a little bit on the language, can we move the dials? Can we create a better feeling about our messaging?
Welcome to our company. One of the benefits we offer is a voluntary savings plan that can help you save for your future. We've continuously improved our plan to take advantage of strategies that have been shown to be the most successful at helping people grow their assets over time. Our plan offers a tax-smart and cost-efficient approach to long-term investing. It lets you invest pre-tax compensation so you keep more of your money. Because of our size, we've negotiated lower fees so you can put more of that money to work. And with our company match, we can significantly increase the amount you can put away.
So a little bit different response in the 70s there. Here's what we really did here. First of all, we made it all about them, number one. Number two, we talked about the whole idea of being voluntary with choice, as a very big positive to them. There's all sorts of other things that we did. I'm just highlighting some of the things. And then finally, we talked about this whole idea of helping them grow their assets over time. Things that we know in our messaging principles are going to move dials to get people to feel, I love that message. I want to do what you're asking me to do. And there's a lot of other things that go into this as well. But I just want you to see that if we think about the language that we use, that we can create a different feeling about our message. Universal principle number one, here we go. It is this: what is out are fear-based tactics. What is in are positive and hopeful messages. Can we create in our messaging, in our communications to participants, hope that they can save and have a comfortable retirement? Is it possible? And I'm not saying, let me just be real clear, this is not about sticking your head in the sand and saying there are no problems out there. That is not what we're talking about. But what we are talking about is some element, shape, form, or fashion of fear-based selling that we've seen since 2007 that does not work. Let me show you a video here, all right? I'm going to show you a video, and this is one approach of communicating the need to be investing significantly in DC plans. So I want to see if you can figure out, watch again, and see if you can get what caused this specific response here. Here we go.
Financial wellness is all about feeling empowered with the tools and information you need to confidently navigate your finances. As part of that effort, we're reaching out with an update on your progress towards reaching your retirement goals. We have found 2,743 peers at our company who have a similar age and income as you. How do your key retirement plan measures compare to theirs? Based on 16 metrics, such as your date of birth, annual salary, current savings rate, and others, we have determined the following. First, your progress toward income replacement in retirement is in the 29th percentile compared to your peers. Second, the balance of your retirement account is in the 32nd percentile compared to your peers.
I just love this. I mean, how many of you have ever put in the old retirement calculator, put in your age, savings, this and that, and then you push the button to see how much you got to save, and you went $9.8 million in the next 6 years. And what we do there, we don't do this on purpose, is we crush their investment spirit. We crush it. People just quit. No way am I going to be able to do that, so I'm just going to go enjoy. And so we need to be very careful with well-intentions of how can we create a more positive message in this space. All right? So what do we do here? Just the whole idea, I'm sure you can see this. They hate the fact that they're being compared to their peers. And then, of course, you just got to love the pylon, right, of the percentiles to remind me one more time how bad things really are for me. And again, like I'm saying, I want to be very clear on this. This does not mean that we don't talk about the need for that, but can we be more positive at the very beginning of our messaging? And let's talk about the partnerships that are out there to help you succeed as an individual for a healthy retirement. And we talk about the fact that, number one, we have a federal government that gives us tax incentives. Number two, that your employer offers a plan that negotiates fees for you, lower fees than you would normally pay. That you've got a provider that provides investments that are chosen and selected, on a performance basis and what they do for you. Can we show them that you're not in this alone? That there's a lot of different areas in which we can gain help. And by the way, I'm just showing, this is just one example. You don't have to do this. I'm just saying that there's a more hopeful, more positive way in which we can create an investment spirit and desire on behalf of participants, not fear-based tactics that we can tend to use. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get into heavy card territory now here. How many of you chose target date funds that are more conservative over time? Raise your hand. I got to see that. How many chose target date funds that are less aggressive over time? Okay. All right. Very good here. So which do you most want your investments to become? Is it the following? Is it less aggressive over time, or is it more conservative over time? So we see less aggressive, and then we see more aggressive. Okay, very good. Why do you think that they chose more conservative over time? Just shout it out. Why? Because of what word? More. More. People, why didn't they choose the first one? Because of the word what? Less. I mean, simple little things, but we do this, and this is exactly what we hear all the time. So let's look at each one of these because we exasperate the problem in many ways. So let's look at the first one, a portfolio that adapts to your life stages and becomes less aggressive over time. And then they get the opportunity to see this wonderful visual, and we've seen this before, called the glide path. Now, which way does the glide path go? It's not what you say, but it's what people hear. And our folks, it looks like we're going to crash. That doesn't look very good. That's not a good outcome. I'm just telling you what. So we tell them it's going to become less. I'm thinking I'm getting less. And then on top of that, it's going to go down. And then we've got this phrase, glide path. Everybody knows what a glide path is. I'll talk about that later. So let's do something a little bit different. Let's take a portfolio that adapts to your life stage and becomes more conservative over time. Why can't this go the other direction? And why can't, I'm not suggesting that this is exactly the word that we replace for that, but why can't this be my retirement path? Because it is a much more positive, much more well-received, and it says exactly what a target date is going to do. It is going to become more conservative over time. So the whole idea is from beginning to end that you have more, not less. It matters the words that we use. Here's some trend analysis that we did, and you saw this probably last time that I did this. Which of the following funds would you rather invest in that maximizes gains or minimizes my losses? Okay, so so which phrase do you think they like better? Maximizes gains or loss? How many think gains? How many think losses? Okay, so we've been testing this for a while. Back in 2007, we see losses, we see gains, 63%. Back in 2012, we tested it again, minimize my losses. Now remember, we've had obviously 2008 and 9 in there, and now it's about I want my gain, I want you to maximize, I need to make back up what I've lost here. And then most recently, the study that we just completed here, we see 23% maximize 77%. So the whole idea about talking about growing their assets, and yes, and our focus groups, listen, we've done 63 focus groups, 3.5 hours long, say this all the time. I want to see if this is going to grow my asset, but I don't ever want to get caught in 2008 and 9 again. And the reason that we've done this is because there was such a trend early on to all about risk management, which is awesome and needed and much needed. But the fact is we forgot that people want their portfolios to grow. Here's another one. How many had cost efficient? Raise your hands. How many had low cost? Raise your hand. All right, so we tested this. Which of the following is most important that my investments are? Cost efficient or low cost? Oops. I think we lost a few. High value, and then cost efficient. Cost efficient. How many had cost efficient again? Just raise your hand. Just you want to just savor the moment here if you look at your neighbor. Okay. 800 people here. Back in 2017, we did the same exact survey on 1,000 individuals on this whole idea of low cost, cost efficient, 1,000, and we got almost the same exact results. Cost efficient, high value. That's really what they want when it comes to their investments. That's what they want when it comes to their plan. Basically, why don't you think they like the word low cost? Because low cost means what? What's the word? Cheap. That's what they said. That's what they told us. So lower cost is good, lower is fine, but low cost is cheap to them. Now this is a good one. I hope you remember this from the last time. How many of you said that they dislike fees more? Fees. How many said dislike cost more? Okay? So here we go. Which of the following do you least like to pay as an investor? And number one is costs, charges, commissions, and the word is fees. Fees. Right? Isn't fee a great word? It's a three-letter word here, fee, that has great emotional impact on people in our culture today. When you check out of this hotel, you came into this thinking you were going to pay a certain rate, yes or no? And when you check out, will the amount you pay be higher or lower than probably what you expected to pay, yes or no? It's going to be higher. I'm in hotels every single week, and every time I get there, I go, oh my gosh, what the heck? What is this valet fee that I'm on? What is that fee? What is this fee? I take a Hertz rental car back many, many times. I take out my thing, he drops it, and it's just a list of fees, returnal fees, and servicing fees, and tire fees. Tire. So when the tire goes bad, they throw them away. The tire disposable fee. I mean, I get all that. Here's my most favorite story that several years ago, I'm in Chicago O'Hare. I'm leaving, getting ready to go to San Francisco. Costing my ticket $249, okay? Got it? And this woman in front of me, she's getting ready to go to Peoria, Illinois. Cost of her ticket was $945. Peoria is a 20-minute flight, just so you don't. 20 minutes, $945. And we're in line, and she puts her bag up on the weigh station. You know where I'm going with this? She puts her bag up in the weigh station, and the lady goes, oh my goodness, ma'am, I am so sorry. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to charge you an additional $75 baggage, what's the word? Fee. Oh my goodness, it was like the 4th of July in February. I mean to tell you, how do you feel when you say, oh, there's an additional fee that you're going to have to pay? It's extra. It's additional to that. I'm always interested in these whole fees. Do you know now that there are facility fees for hospitals, and you have to pay an additional, last bill that I had, because a son went in an emergency room, a $235 facility fee. That's to use the facility. Like, what is that all about? And this is a good one. Next time you buy a new car, how many of you are familiar with the dealer preparation fee? Now, this is what it's for. This includes, so the dealer, that they remove the plastic, they vacuum, and they add fluids. Are you kidding me? $290 of a preparation. By the way, negotiate the next time you buy a new car. Say, I'm not paying that. That's your job. Just a couple other, I love this one. This is really good. There's the sharing fee. I just read that if you share, you're gonna have to pay an additional $20 of a plate. And this is great. How many of you have ever ordered tickets online to a concert or a sporting event? Yeah, you already know where I'm going with this. It's the convenience fee, and then you go to print it, and guess what? There's a printing fee. They all use the three-letter word. Fee. Do you know, I saw this stat here, I just had to keep this, that from ordering those tickets online, just online, that those services in the year 2015, took in $1.6 billion worth of fees. So here's the point. When we use the word fee, people respond to it in a way that is very, very negative. However, when we use the word cost, when we frame out the whole idea of what this costs, you know what they tell us in our focus groups? Oh, well, of course there's cost with this. I understand that there's cost. This isn't for free. I don't get this. But when we use the word fee, they have a totally different perspective. They feel different about our message. So I got to move on here. Which of the following would you rather hear from your employer due to the large size of our plan? We're able to offer access to institutional investments that would be difficult to obtain as an individual investor, or we're able to negotiate fees. So some of the money you contribute goes towards generating returns. So how many think at the top one, access to institutional investments? Anybody? Just be honest, be honest. Now you're all afraid to answer, okay? I see that. I got it. So here it is. I just want to give you a heads up here. This whole thing about that you have this ability to negotiate lower fees with the plans that you offer to your participants is absolutely huge to them. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit for this. This is one of the advantages of working for an organization like yours, is that you're able to get better investments, okay, access to institutional investments at a lower fee. Lower, not low cost, lower. Notice what I said there. If you're looking for a way to talk about the value, what you bring to those participants, this is one of the ways in which we can do that, because they're totally unaware of that. It's almost like health benefits. I mean, I don't know, I've lived in corporate America for like 40-some years, and I've never gone out and got health insurance, ever in my whole life. I just pay my little check, it just gets I have no idea what even paying health insurance. And then one of my friends just left the workplace, and he had to go out and get it on his own. Oh my goodness, what a shock. It's the same way on the defined contribution plan. Use same thing, give yourself credit for that, distinguish yourself in that sense. So let me review. Principle number one, and this is what I really want you to take away from, are the principles we're talking about. I can talk about low cost, or I can talk about being cost efficient. I'm going to just connect with that many more individuals and people. Here's my second principle. You got to savor the moment here, right, with this guy? you just kind of brings your memories back to those times as a kid when you were trying to figure things out and you thought they'd work. Well, so here's our second principle. What is out are unrealistic claims. What is in are plausible and credible benefits. So here we go. How many of you had, by the way, how many had dream retirement? Raise your hand. How many had comfortable retirements? Raise your hand. Very good, very good. Again, we test these over and over. 2007, see our results here. Dream retirement, 12%, maintain current lifestyle. Comfortable retirement, 51%. 51, what? So 2009, Dow in 2007 topped off around 14. 2009, bottom around 6,400, somewhere in that neighborhood. I was going over these figures the other day. Dream retirement, maintaining my lifestyle, comfortable retirement. We were in Denver, Colorado on the day that we did that 2009 study. On March the 4th, we were at the bitty bottom of the market when we did that study. Please, I believe that I can do a comfortable retirement. I don't believe in the dream. And here we are in 2018. The comfortable retirement has receded just a touch. And now people are thinking slightly, but not even close, a little bit more about the dream. And why is that? Because you were never going to give me my dream retirement. You come off as incredibly unplausible. It's not the way that we want to talk to people about in terms of the benefits. Here's another good one. How many of you had financial freedom? Raise your hand. How many have financial security? Raise your hand. Okay, so here we go. When it comes to retirement, I hope to achieve freedom, security, 60-40. Back in 2007, 2009, it was about my financial security, even greater. In 2018, we tested that again, 67-33. It still is about financial security. And I do want to say this, culture changes the way that we look at things. I said this before. But pre-9/11, this was completely the opposite. Right before that, it was all about financial freedom. I don't care. I want to be financially free. Security, that's all you can do is give me that? Seriously, I want financial freedom. Completely switched since that time frame. since that time frame. Culture impacts the way in which we talk to our people. So here's another one. How many had investments managed by Wall Street? Oh, oh, that's really good. That's a first. I normally have an outlier somewhere in there. So I think I could just go really quickly through this slide. But in case some of you have, some type of custom funds, I know you might not all have that, but we thought it was kind of interesting. You have these custom funds, white label funds, but who manages these things? Well, what should we talk about? Well, professionals and experts certainly do not mention Wall Street, and do not even institutional. One time a lady in one of our sessions in New York talked about, we said, yeah, this is institutionally managed. She goes, are they all in prison? Are these portfolio managers, have they been to prison before? It's not what you say, but it's what people hear. Seriously, I'm not kidding you here. So when we talk about being plausible, let's think through, second principle, think through what we're saying that our programs can do for them. Is it the dream retirement, or is it the comfortable retirement? We're going to connect with that many more individuals. Here's my third principle right here. This is really simple. What is out is jargon. What is in is plain English, right? I mean, it's a pretty easy principle, so we need to think through the words that we use and say to ourselves, am I using the most plain English possible? Because for some people, this can really be a struggle, no matter how long that we actually instruct them. So I want you to see how, I got a little video here, how does plain English impact this engagement process with this brand new employee at my company here? Plain English.
Hello.
Hi.
You must be Will.
Yes, yes.
Good deal.
Thank you for seeing me. I appreciate it. I just have a few questions.
Don't we all?
I saw the 401k online. Very exciting. Am I really starting with $401,000?
Excuse me. In a word, no.
So I don't have $401,000?
No. I mean, everybody would be applied if they did. No, you will build up to that over time. And time is that thing that keeps everything from happening all at once.
Sure. In here I read that I would be auto-enrolled in a target date fund. I'm a little confused as to what that is.
We all are. You will earn less money for only a time, but you have to remember, it's building up somewhere else.
Yeah. Where is that exactly?
I don't know. I really don't. If I did, I'd go there.
Well, what exactly is a target date fund?
It involves several things, obviously with the fact that you're still employed.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to keep that in mind.
Sure.
And QDIA, which, are you familiar with that?
The letters, yes. But
Yes.
what that stands for.
No problem. That's exactly what it is. But is that the case with you?
I'm going to say yes.
And what was the question?
I'm not sure.
Then we're on target. Okay.
So I'd be facing a lot of risk, is that?
Oh, God, yes. Yes. I think that there are so many times that people think, aren't they benefits?
Uh-huh.
And I say yes.
Oh, okay.
I need to find out, if I can, if you can project what date you will be leaving.
Well, I just started. I don't know when I'll be.
Oh, and I don't mean that to be personal.
Uh-huh. I don't know how I would know my retirement date.
That's very good. That's very good.
Okay, well, so how much should I contribute?
All you can.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I wouldn't say you need to go out and borrow, but if you have some close relatives that are in the family,
Yeah,
and some that aren't,
okay.
it might be a good time to call them as a backup.
Okay.
As a backup. And then they'll know.
Well, can I lose money?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We need to know how much pain you can take. I'm sorry, that was a slip up but we need to know the tolerance level that you're willing to go for. And I can see by the look on your face that,
I'd say medium.
all right? So that is no. Now, I personally believe you make more when you lose less. That is the philosophy that I've run this office, and like I said, I've got a corner office.
It's
so
nice.
Something is right.
So my money's going to grow over time. Is that what they mean by glide path?
I can give you a perfect example right here.
Okay.
we see those of us that do. It was just you go in and then we have the investment,
Yeah.
and then that's by the design method, what we know to be accurate. And then out of nowhere, sometimes,
Well, that just went straight down.
well, at least it went.
Oh gosh, that is priceless, isn't it? The words we use really do make a difference in terms of being plain English. A couple quick ones here. Here in terms of savings versus retirement plan. What do we call this? Is it a savings plan? Is it an investment plan? It is what it is. It's a retirement plan. What do we call a defined contribution plan? It's a retirement plan. That's what we call it. It's straightforward. One unique feature to the target date fund that is that as you get closer to retirement, your portfolio's risk level automatically adjusts. What's the best name to describe this change over time? So here we have risk reduction path, we have glide path, growth path, rebalancing strategy, risk reduction path. Now that's not what we're going to rename this fund at all, but that certainly says what it does. But the point of this slide is look where glide path tests. By the way, we ask them what that means. They have no clue what that is. No clue whatsoever. Which of the following names is best for this kind of investment? As I just mentioned before, you're going to see this risk-adjusted retirement growth fund. And again, we're not going to say that we're not going to change the name of target date fund. But this is a great ... This is a risk-adjusted retirement. What word in there do you think that they really like, why they chose that? What's the word? Growth. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. They love that word. So I do want to show you just very quickly about plain English. It's kind of interesting. We have the opportunity to go really around the country and test language in different places here. And so just to give you some spots that we've been here, of course, in the U.S., we've been over to Japan. We're currently in the U.K. right now. We just finished a study on defined contribution over there, which is very, very interesting. But it's funny how different people say where they keep their money, right? And so U.S. investors say, I want to put my money into baskets. U.S. institutions are always talking about buckets. The Japanese investors are talking about, I allocate my funds to different wallets. Go figure that one out. And then I just got to love it over in the UK, we allocate our money into different pots. They're pots. And over there, does anybody know what their defined contribution plans are called? They're called what? Schemes. We're a matter of fact, we're going over there in 2 weeks, and then the guy, our guy said, now, Gary, you're going to be meeting with several schemes over there. You know, schemes. We did not have the opportunity to test that word scheme, but they put their money into pots over there, all right? So in terms of being plain spoken, plain English, we can talk about target date funds. We can talk about risk-adjusted retirement funds. Think about the language that we use and how we use that, and just plain spoken. They really do appreciate that. So here is our fourth and our last principle that we have here. What is out are mass communications. What is in is try to please make this as personal to me as you possibly can. This is our fourth principle here. I want to show you a video here. All right, in this message. I want to see if you can, one more time, let's watch what moves the dials. Dials are set at 50, 60 is the buy mode. Here we go.
If you come to me with a concern about something happening in the market or around the world, my job is to put it in the context of you. I believe we should take a step back and talk about where you are in your financial plan. Because it's not about opinion. It's about your individual goals and how this risk could affect them. So the first thing I will do is work with you to determine your exposure to this risk, how it could or could not affect you personally. I will give a realistic assessment and have those tough conversations with you so you won't be caught off guard. And lastly, I think it's important to analyze and bring to life the potential benefits of any choice we make.
Okay, so we got dials ending up in the 80s there. Why? What did we do there? What did we use? What word did we use? You, your, personal pronouns, you and your. You're exactly right. When we do that every time in every study that we do, and it just doesn't mean that we can't use I ever, But the fact of the matter is this is laced with that personal pronoun of you and your. Thank you. This is about me. Test yourself in your communications. Am I making it as personal as I possibly can instead of generic language that we use to make people feel like they're just part of the masses? Nobody wants to be made to feel like that. So how many had, by the way, do I have anybody that has got all of these right? Anybody? We wiped you out this year. Okay. Well, maybe you'll have me back in a couple years. We'll give you another shot here. So, yeah, how many had plans constructed to be best in class? Anybody have best in class? How about the one that says feedback from employees like you? Right? It's pretty well, pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, it is continuous improved with feedback from employees like you, making them feel like they're a part of it. Doesn't mean that you're asking them every step of the way what you're doing, but thank you for making this really about me. I think you know the answer to this one already because you saw the video here. Which is the most helpful to track your progress towards savings for retirement? You are on track compared to. We know this. It's not the peers. It's basically the goals that I've set. What I care about is how am I doing given my own specific goals that I have set. I don't care about the national average and certainly don't care about my peers. I don't really want to know that, but I want to know how am I doing relative to myself. So that last principle is make it personal. And I'm just giving you a few little slides here because obviously we only have an hour to go through all of this research. We've got booklets of research on this as well. But this last principle is compared to peers in your company or compared to the retirement goal you've set, we're just going to connect with many more people from that standpoint. So let's do one last thing before I close here. Let's do a final check-in to see if our fellow here has learned anything since we last left him in this engagement conversation here.
Or sometimes.
Well, that just went straight down.
Well, at least it went. Will, and I can call you Will, right?
Sure.
Bill, what I guess really what I'm asking is, in terms of fees, you have some questions about me because I mean I know this a lot.
Well, are there fees?
Oh yeah, there's always fees.
Yeah. There is a place where I can go to see what the fees are then, if it's
Not that I know of, but I want you to have the confidence to know that it exists somewhere.
I did have a question. So who is actually managing the investments?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't want to say it because I think it may be determined in what we have in that, but I can, if you'll trust me on this, it is being managed. And it's by people who know. So when you come up with a target date, if you could get back with me, it would be most helpful.
I could email you.
I don't respond to emails. I mean, they take up so much time and you lose them and print them and all that. Bring it forth and I did what we have in there. And that door is always open, but it's not always open. As a matter of fact, it's closed a lot of times.
I see that.
I'm not here a lot.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that you need, you can certainly get in touch with somebody else because that's why we have them.
Okay.
But I will answer.
Well, I'm still pretty confused.
That's the way you should be.
Well, thank you.
And good luck. Take care, Bob.
All right, there's your coffee break for this morning, okay? So I wanted to put that in there. We have a little fun with that, but really on a serious note, as we think about this, I want to leave you with this is the 4 communication principles. Let's make sure that our messaging has got a positive, hopeful message to it. Number 1, because that's very, very critical as we get started with that. Let's make sure that what we say our plans do is plausible. Are we talking to them in a plain English manner which they can understand? And are we making it as personal as possible? And all we do is just encourage you to think about these 4 principles in your messaging. And we have a lot more information on this as well. But I really encourage you to take a look at these 4 principles here. And I want to just close with this story. I always like this story because it's a little bit relative to recently what has happened to me. And I told you I ski. I used to ski, so I am going to ski again. So one year I went to Squaw Valley. Anybody Squaw Valley been okay out here? Really enjoyed it and liked it. A lot of fun. Get there on a Friday night. get to the slopes, look up on the top of the mountain. It's all dark, and there's all these lights going on up there. And that's really strange. I've never seen anything like that before. Go to my condo, wake up the next morning, and I pick up a copy of the newspaper because I'm at this restaurant to check out the grooming reports, and I see what happened on the top of that hill. You see, that's where the Squaw Valley High School team practices every single day. And what had happened was this. You see, at the end of practice, every practice, the coach would have to tell all the kids to go down the front side of the mountain because there were 3 boys that lived on the back side of the mountain, and they were always taking shortcuts down the back, rocky, ungroomed, slopes. But they're teenage kids. They're great skiers. No big deal. So on that specific day, the coach says to the 3 boys, down the front side of the mountain, and sure enough, all 12 of them went except for the 3. They kind of went back up to the top of the mountain and back down the backside to take a shortcut home. And what do you think happened? An avalanche. They had 15 inches of snow per day, 3 days before that. Luckily, no one perished in that. But it was one of those poles and dogs type of things to rescue those boys from that because they were taking that shortcut, tried to take that shortcut home. And so here's the simple moral of that little story. Many times in life, and certainly in business, shortcuts can be deceptively dangerous. Shortcuts that we take can be deceptively dangerous. And certainly, as a communicator, it can be very dangerous when we take shortcuts. So think about the words we use, the phrases we use, and think about this. It's not what you say that matters, but what really matters is what are our participants hearing when we are speaking the language that we're so very comfortable with. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your conference here. Thank you.